Hi everybody, old guy here. And this trilogy is probably the most gentle and lyrical one ever written about annihilation, post-apocalyptic hell, alien abduction, genetic alteration, and colonization that you will probably ever encounter. There's even alien sex. I know you're listening now. Octavia Butler is, as most of you know, the extraordinarily gentle writer of terrifying science fiction, such as the time traveler tale Kindred and the post-apocalyptic parable of the sower. Never has disaster been so poetically rendered, and her concepts and themes are outstanding. She's on my must-read author list. The first book of this trilogy is titled Dawn. Written in 1987. Lilith Iapo is in suspended animation and periodically awakened by nameless and faceless interrogators who put her through the same series of questions every 100 years or so. She is bewildered and scared because the last thing she remembers is an all-out nuclear war engulfing the Earth in radioactive fire, leaving a few inhabitable spots along the equator. She's pretty sure her captors are Russians, but can't imagine what they want. Until one awakening, they reveal themselves. They ain't Russians. They're the Oankali, an alien race of star travelers that engage in trade, genetic trade. And we've got chromosomes they want because they are able to fashion cures and materials and whole spaceships out of DNA. They've been traveling so long they don't even know where their home world is anymore. And they find humans a particular delight. Why? Well, that whole alien sex thing. Stay tuned. The Oankali are, rather repulsive. Think of a walking bag covered with agitated worms. Not exactly the most attractive of partners, even after 8 tequilas, but the Oankali have something better than looks. The ability to meld with our nervous systems through their tentacles and give us things we never even knew what we wanted. I'll leave that to your imagination. There are 3 Oankali sexes, which makes for very interesting possibilities and combinations. I'll tell you, Butler has created some of the alienest of aliens out there, much like the Janata and Runa of Mary Doria Russell's The Sparrow. At least those, though, were attractive. Most of the book centers on long, very long conversations and interactions between Lilith and her Oankali pal, mate, handler, whose name is Nikanj. But you have to bear with those conversations. So much of the alienness has to be explained to her, who Lilith, despite all this, remains defiant and afraid, and I gotta ask, why? These are some dang interesting aliens with some fairly cool abilities, and man, let's party. Lilith's resistance becomes, after a while, somewhat baffling, especially when the Oankali reveal what they are willing to trade: long life, enhanced strength and senses, and a rehabilitated Earth. Oh, did I mention that they're in space? Okay, they're in space. Yep, in a living ship orbiting the moon. Lilith is not getting with the program, which the Oankali need her to do because before they wake several hundred other humans they manage to snag off the planet. So why don't they just take what they want from her? Well, they do, when she's still in suspended animation, but they need something else that requires willingness for it to work properly. I think you can guess. On top of that, so to speak, the Oankali are desperate to breed out what they call humanity's fatal flaw: intelligence and hierarchy. See, we can't help using our intelligence to set up hierarchies and then to destroy anyone not part of ours. Not too bad of an analysis by the Oankali, wouldn't you say? The trouble starts, of course, when Lilith begins to wake, train, and lead other humans. Dang humans. Some of them object to worm bags appropriating their DNA, even with the cool toys, and, get this, want to keep the integrity of the human race. Lilith does too, and feels very much like a traitor. Even though, really, what choice do they have? There's no other way to get back to a restored Earth than by cooperation with the Oankali. But humans, being humans, they need a scapegoat and someone on which to express their displeasure, and that's when things get out of hand. The second book, Adult Rites, like Rites of Passage, finds Lilith and the other awakened back on Earth in an area of the Amazon River basin. Their Oankali mates, managers, captors, what have you, have followed them down, and there are links between humans and the three-sexed Oankali that result in hybrid children, who they call constructs. Achan is one of these constructs, born to Lilith and her murdered mate, Joseph, with the assistance of Nakanj. A large portion of the returned humans don't want anything to do with the Oankali, but have been altered so they cannot reproduce without Oankali help. These humans, called resistors, run off and form their own villages and tribes and, of course, begin fighting with each other. And kidnapping constructs, especially ones that look mostly human, like Achan. After Achan is kidnapped, the Oankali deliberately allow him to remain with the resistors to see if he can develop more of his human characteristics. Say hi. Where was I? He does, but at the terrible cost of isolation from his siblings who were born to Lilith, which a construct must link with in order to be whole. Achan becomes an advocate of the resistors' desire to remain human and produce their own children, and urges the Oankali to let the resistors move to Mars because he knows what the Oankali plan for the Earth. It ain't pretty. The third novel, Imago, switches viewpoints to Johas, who's another of Lilith's children, an Oankali construct who is the first human Oankali Ooloi, which is the third sex, which was an unforeseen and not supposed to happen event, and which makes Johas rather dangerous. He can, without intending, reintroduce cancers and genetic deformities to humans while linked with them. Johas' sibling, Aor, and it's starting to sound like a Winnie the Pooh novel, also develops into an Ooloi, which means they cannot link through mates, and Aor becomes despondent and desperately lonely and pathetic, and the most sorrowful and sympathetic of the beings in this whole series. I feel bad for him, especially when he turns into a mollusk. Johas and Aor go on a journey to find human mates for Aor, and there's all kinds of very weird sex that happens. Not sex, but sex. Whatever the mechanics, and all kinds of sworn enemies become sworn lovers after a night wrapped up in an ooloi. There's a big aspect of vampirism here, because one is supposed to enjoy it when Dracula is draining you. I mean, how else do you think he got Lucy with Stenra? In the end, things work out. Not for the better, and definitely not with any kind of happy ending. These Oankali, for all their beneficence, are intent on their own outcomes. And if humans have to disappear, oh well. As wonderful as they seem, Oankali are as brutal and single-minded as any other race. They remind me of Nurse Ratched, who only has your well-being in mind, don't you know? Here, bite down on this rubber piece. Old guy here. See you later.